Alright, so I've got all these paints, craft paints, and I used to keep them in a drawer on my shelf, and it's just getting a bit messy. It's getting a bit unmanageable. So today what I'm going to make is a PVC pipe craft paint holder. Let's get into it. Here's the craft paint bottles, and they're all about the same size except for these small little ones. So these probably aren't going to go into this holder. The PVC I'm using is, let's see, what is that? It's like an inch and a half inner diameter, 1 3/4 outer diameter. And this is just stuff I had laying around, but you can see these fit perfectly in there. So what I did was I cut down some PVC that's going to leave just a little bit sticking out so that I can see what color some of these are. But you can see even some of these different ones, like it's a different brand, fit in there with a little bit of room, which is fine. But then most of these paints fit like perfectly. So I've got about 60 of these paints, and I'm going to make 60 little holders, and then I'm going to glue them together in an array, and then use that to store my paint. Alright, so I am going to cut a bunch of PVC pipe to make my craft paint holder. I'm going to use my so it stays straight and I get a nice straight cut. Alright, there's all my pieces. I'm going to clean all the fuzz off and then glue them all together. Alright, so first we're going to try this 2P10. This is the thick version. It's supposed to be for wood, but I'm hoping it sticks to the PVC. Basically, this kind of glue has the glue and then an activator. And so you put the glue on one piece, activator on another, you put them together, and it should make a pretty quick bond. And I should know fairly quickly whether or not this is going to work for this project or not. I'm going to put a pretty generous amount on there. Spray activator. And then we're going to put them together. It's already pretty hard. I think that's going to work fine. That's pretty good. So I think I'm going to do that. Of course, gotta make sure I keep the flat spots down. Alright, so I need to set up a jig so that I make sure I get these all in a row as I'm going. It's crazy. So fast. Yeah, it's already glued. That is crazy. This stuff is amazing. One more. We're good. Alright, now we're going to throw this on the CNC machine and make it perfect. Alright, so I made a rookie mistake and I forgot to turn on the microphone in this next section. Basically what I have is the storage system loaded up on my CNC machine because I had some slight differences in the height of all of the PVC pipe. So I guess cutting it on the bandsaw, they weren't all perfect. So what I did was after I glued it all together, I put it up on the CNC machine, clamped it down, and now I am taking some light passes on the PVC so that I get a perfectly flat surface across the board. I wanted to take some light passes because I wasn't sure exactly how that CA glue was going to really hold, but it held up surprisingly well. I kind of expected to, some of these end pieces to pop off, and they didn't. So I was really happy. Here I'm just kind of scanning the surface to see if there's any high spots before I start taking some material off. Every once in a while, if you start to take a material off, and you've got one that's like really, really high, then it bogs down or creates too much of a removal. So I like to make sure that they're close or take a super light pass the first couple of passes. But you can see, the video is obviously sped up, but it doesn't take long to turn around and make it absolutely perfect. Alright, so now on this one I'm making the backing board, and it's just basically some half-inch plywood that I'm going to cut down to size and glue onto the back so that when I stick the bottles in, they don't fall out the back. So I'm just using the bandsaw, basically cutting a rough shape. I put some marks on the board where the storage system extents were, and now I'm just using my fence to cut a straight line. Alright, and here is me just making sure it fits, and then I'm just going to use the same CA glue that I used to glue them all together, and I was going to put it on every single one, and then I decided about halfway through this to just kind of randomly put it on some of them. It ends up being on almost all of it. I definitely wanted to go all the way around the outside, so that's where I decided to go around the outside to make sure I had it on the outside, and then just kind of randomly putting it on pieces in the middle. And spraying the activator on the plywood. And I think that you can use the CA glue without using the activator. It just makes it, attach immediately. And other than that, it's probably like super glue. It takes, a minute to dry or so. But with the activator, it just dries, within seconds, which is really nice because it's like this is just a kind of quick project. It's nothing that needs to be, it's not like a high-end wood project or anything. So, right, and so there it is in place. You can see I made it basically perfectly fit within this shelf area that I have. And I've got it loaded up with the paints. All right, so thanks for watching.